Welcome to Crossmen Live, the series. I'm Jack Brennicky.
And I'm Josh Sears. Tonight we have a great show for you. We have Reedy, who's going to be with us, introducing who all is being inducted to the Crossmen Hall of Fame class of 2020.
That's right, Josh. And Rick will be with us a little later on. But first, we have some clips that didn't make it into the live event through no fault of their own. And they are the legacy families. 2 generations of bones in the same family. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm George Nelson, and I marched in the Crossmen Horn Line from 1992 to 1995.
Hi, I'm Wendy Nelson, and I marched in the Crossmen Color Guard from 1993 to 1995.
We met during a spring drill rehearsal for the 1993 season. The visual staff had the guard march in horn spots so they can see the drill without holes. And Wendy was a baritone for the day and ended up next to me most of that rehearsal.
We became seat partners not only that season, but every season after that until we aged out in 1995.
I knew after the 1993 tour that Wendy was the one, so in 1995 I proposed to her on the field during retreat at DCI East in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Allentown has always been such a special place for the Crossmen, so it seemed fitting to do it right then and there. We're now married 22 years and have 3 awesome daughters, 2 of which are in band now and 1 starting next year. We make it a regular family event to watch DCI videos and live streaming events and go to as many local shows as possible. This past winter, our oldest daughter Ty auditioned for the Crossmen Horn Line and was offered a contract, and we couldn't have been happier or prouder. It'll put her in very small, very special company, a double parent legacy member. Best of all, it brought our 2 families together for another generation. Obviously, like all the 2020 members, Ty was devastated by the season being canceled. To work so hard and only to have everything taken away is unprecedented, which says a lot for a corps that historically has seen and overcome so much adversity. But this year it feels different, and our Crossman family desperately needs our help.
So please join our family to help our Crossmen family so the next generation can write a new chapter in the history of the Corps we love and owe so much to.
Support the Crossmen family. Protect the legacy.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy Corcoran, and I've had a number of different roles with the Crossmen. I was a member, an alumni, a volunteer, and a legacy parent. I wanted to talk today a little bit about being a multi-generational drum corps family and how unique it is to have a legacy member in the drum corps. I grew up in Massachusetts, and back in the day, Massachusetts was a hotbed for drum corps. Nearly every town had one. My mom, she joined the local parade corps when she was 9 years old, and she was with them for a decade as a performer and an instructor until they folded when she was 19. That's her in the front playing bugle. When I was a kid, we went to a lot of parades, and eventually I joined my high school color guard. When I was a senior, she took me to my first show, the DCE show in Foxborough. And that was the first time I ever saw the Crossmen in person. I saw them make that cross on the field with a C in the middle of it, and I knew right then and there I had to go be part of it. 6 months later, I was at my first Crossmen rehearsal for the 1990 season. That's me, and I marched in 90 and in 91. When I was on tour, my mom would drive up to our rehearsal site with her sewing machine, and she would spend all day making uniform alterations. I know it was rewarding for her to have her kid enjoy doing what she had loved so much herself. Now I'm going to fast forward to 2017 when my son earned a contra spot that year for the Crossmen. He was a 2nd generation Crossman, which is what we call a legacy member, and the 3rd generation to march drum corps in my family. He's also one of a handful of double legacies where both parents marched in the drum corps. My son went to Crossman rehearsals and alumni events with us when he was little, and the Allentown picnic pretty much his entire life. He literally grew up with the Crossmen. That's the unique part about being a legacy member, is that they know the Crossman history before they ever even put on a uniform. The alumni that we marched with were so excited to have another legacy member in the Corps. People helped with airfare to Texas from Pennsylvania, and a friend even sent my son some old Crossman tour shirts to wear in the summer. There is a cool generational connection too, because my mom got to once again get in her car with her sewing machine and make uniform adjustments when the Crossmen were in Bristol. The feeling of seeing my own child on the field for finals the very first time, representing my drum corps, the one that I've put a lifetime of effort into, is one that I will never forget. It's really just indescribable.
Hi, Crossmen. I'm Rick Reedy. I'm a charter member of the Crossmen March in 1975 and 1976. My dad was in Drum Corps 214 from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. My brother Dennis and I were both members of the Holtz Hornets and the 507 Hornets. My brother and my sister Donna Reedy Weidenmiller are also Crossmen alumni.
Hi, Crossmen. I'm Donna Kroll Reedy. I marched in the Crossmen's Horn Line from 1975 through 1978, and then the Crossmen's Color Guard from 1980 and 81. My mom wasn't in drum corps, but she was in marching band, and I have three sisters who also are members of drum corps: Darlene, Diane, and Denise. We all four march different combinations of the Media Fawns, the 507 Hornets, and Denise and I are both Crossmen alumni.
Shortly after Donna's age out, we were married and started our family. All four of our children marched in drum corps. Our son, Ricky, a member of the Lehigh Valley Knights and the Jersey Surf.
Eventually, our three daughters all became members of the Crossmen.
Hey Mom, I can tell my story. Hi, I'm Allie, and my drum corps story starts in 2000 with the Jersey Surf. I marched there until 2002 and was under the instruction of some other Crossmen alumni, Tony Tunstall and Joyce Wolfram Roos. After that, I followed in my parents' and aunts and uncles' footsteps to the Crossmen. This shirt belonged to one of them back in 1979. I marched with the Crossmen in 2003 and aged out in 2004, and I'd like to know if any other 2003 Color Guard members have Boscoved today. After I aged out in 2004, my sisters came along to the Crossmen, starting with Andrea.
Hey, my ears are ringing. Were you guys talking about me? Hi everyone, this is Andrea. I started marching drum corps back in 2002 in a little drum corps from Allentown area called the Lehigh Valley Knights with my little brother Ricky. At the time I was also taught by another Crossmen alumni and Crossmen legacy, Missy Heckman. From there, Ricky and I went to Jersey Surf 2003 and 2004, where Danielle joined us in 2004. After that, I went to Crossmen 2005 through 2007. So I was one of the vets who marched in the Northeast and then traveled down to Texas in 2007. Just like Allie, I also have a hand-me-down shirt that was my Aunt Donna back in the 70s. This was her shirt, and we actually recreated it in 2007 for the Crossmen Flag Line Association, is what we called ourselves back then. So shout out to all of my 2007 FLA buddies. And then I wasn't the only Reedy and Crossman back then. There was also a Danielle.
Hello. Hey, I thought I heard you guys talking about me. Hi Crossman family, I'm Danielle and I'm the youngest of the Reedy kids. Like my sisters, I got my start at the Jersey Surf. I marched there in 2004 under my staff member, who was also a Crossman alumni, Amanda Markey. In 2005, I went to the Crossmen. I wasn't going to go in 2005. I thought I would stay at Surf longer, but my sister Andrea was going, and my friends, Leanne Fields and Holly Stover, who are also Crossman Legacy members, were already there, so I thought, why not go for it? In 2005, I was the alternate, and 6 years later, I aged out in 2010 as the captain. So if you get contracted as an alternate, make sure you stick with it because that's still an amazing opportunity. As you can see, our family is deeply rooted in drum corps, especially the Crossmen. So please,
support the Crossman family, protect the legacy.
Hi, Terry. Hi, Leanne.
Hey, Jack.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
We're good. I'm good.
Well, as you know, the Crossmen had their live event last month, and it was originally planned to be only 3 hours. And it ended up running about 4.5 hours. And here's why. We when we put out the call for
lost.
video clips about 6 to 8 weeks before the event, we got such an amazing response that we could have made it an all-day event. Don't know that Dan Potter would have been willing to hang around for a whole day. But at any rate, so during the editing process, we certainly could have shortened some of the longer clips, but it got to the point that we really didn't want to cut the heart and soul out of people's stories. So Terry, I understand you have a family history in drum corps that predates you.
Yes, it does. My dad was an original New York Skyliner. He was from Staten Island, New York, and my mom was from Philadelphia, and she was in the McCall Bluebirds. And I guess I never talked to her much about drum corps, but the pictures that I see that have just come to me recently, she was the drum major at some point. So
nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And my parents met on a blind date at a drum corps show. My dad, I know. No, my grandfather had a friend. Had my mother come to a drum corps show to meet my dad, and I guess the rest is history. He moved down here, and that was it. My sister was in the Media Fawns. I was in the Media Fawns as well, but I was young. I was in the Hornets, which is what brought us our Crossmen drum corps, and I was in there from 71 to 74 there for the first day of our new endeavor with the Crossmen. So, yep, goes back pretty far.
That's pretty cool. I actually looked up the McCall Bluebirds when I saw Leanne's comment about it, and they won American Legion Nationals in like 47 or something like that.
Really?
And it was funny though, because the corps wasn't that big. The guard had there's only 9 people in the guard.
Yeah.
So Leanne, what's your earliest drum corps memory?
My earliest drum corps memory is my dad used to be an administrator for a little Division III corps called Illusion from Prospect Park. I know there was drum corps before this for me, obviously, but this is like the first thing I remember. And I think when I was real little, I used to do parades with them. I had a little mini rifle, like a 2-foot rifle, and I used to either like hold my rifle or hold a banner. And I remember when I was really young, I was around them a lot at rehearsals and shows and all that stuff.
So marching in drum corps was kind of an organic process for you. You didn't have a point where you said, I want to march in drum corps.
I would say the point where I decided that I really wanted to do it was around probably 2000. I used to go with my parents to the winter camps, and I would sit in the hallway and like peek in the door of the color guard and watch what they were doing. And I think it was around that time that I asked, hey, can I join an independent color guard? And that was kind of when it all started. But it didn't ever really seem forced. It was just something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's always
Actually, her first drum corps show was on her godfather's lap at DCA in 1989 in Allentown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Anything else you guys want to add?
I feel like my experience in the Corps a long time ago, but it's something I will never forget. And the friends that I've made all over the country, it's the best thing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
I was just gonna say, I think that one of the coolest things about being in a place where like Danielle, Andrea, and myself, Holly, where our parents had marched in the 70s, it was cool because we, especially when we moved to Texas, we almost acted like a little history book for all the new kids.
Right.
They would always come to us with questions asking about like, hey, when your parents marched, did you do this? Or like when we would be on tour and we would get to the East Coast, it's almost like they looked to us for like traditions, but they would be like, are we getting pizza?
Hoagies.
Like, you know as much as I do.
Right.
But it was just cool because it was almost like we were like little representatives of the past that kind of helped the Texas kids fall in love with the Corps as much as we did.
Yeah, that's the beautiful part of the legacy.
Yeah.
Having that close connection to previous generations of the Corps.
Yeah.
Not just in a book or in a video, but here's somebody that's really connected. So
Exactly.
well, thank you guys.
All right.
So,
It means the world to me. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this for us.
Yeah, thank you.
yep. Thanks again, guys.
The Crossmen have all of our instruments for sale. Brass, percussion, electronics, podiums, props, and much more. We can help you or your school with anything you may need. Reach out to us via email, sales@crossmen.org.
So a recurring theme in those videos was a legacy of the drum corps activity in general in those families, which then led to somebody marching in Crossmen.
Yeah, so we thought there's another show or 3 or 4. Maybe it can become a recurring segment. So to get an idea of what that would look like, what do you got for us, Josh?
So Jack, with us, we've got the Eversole family. We've got brothers Kevin and Connor, who marched Crossmen various years, and their father, Jim Eversole. So I guess first off, Jim, tell us where you marched, and then Kevin and Connor can go into your years that you marched with the Crossmen and what brought you to Crossmen specifically.
Okay, I started marching in 1975. From 1975 to 1985, between high school band, it was in Trumbull High School marching band. I was in between those years in the Bengal Lancers Drum and Bugle Corps, the Bushwhackers, and the Garfield Cadets for a total of just about 11 seasons.
So yeah, I started marching with the Crossmen in 2010. I was in the horn line, and I spent all 5 years aged down 2014. What brought me to the Corps was, one, I could drive to camps. That was a big thing. And in 2009, I used to get made fun of this, was they had capes. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, that they were wearing capes. And after I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go audition with Crossmen.
Yeah, and then I joined the season after in 11 and aged out on baritone in 2016 with the Crossmen. And for me, it was kind of an obvious choice for me. It was joining the family and just hopping in the car and going along for the ride, and had an absolute blast doing it. And I did 2 seasons by myself, they're very different seasons, but they're a lot of fun.
And Connor actually volunteered on the food truck during spring training in 2010. So that was cool.
So Jim, you started when you were, what, 11 years old?
Just about 10 years old.
10 years old? Okay.
Yeah, my mom was in the Melrose Blackhawks. So my family was always big drum corps fans. And there was a show in, I guess, Hamden, Connecticut. And I saw the 74 Muchachos. And I was like, this is great. I got to see how to do this. And that fall, a drum corps started in my hometown. So I went and signed up, and I was in the feeder corps.
Do you remember the first time you saw the Crossmen?
The first time I remember seeing the Crossmen was in 1977, and I saw them from the back. And the thing that I remembered was, I guess it was Nadia's theme. And I saw it from the back, and I remember the whole corps swaying back and forth. And the thing that we thought was really, really cool about the Crossmen, and that was something that was going on during 75, 76, 77, was it was a merger And these were kids from a little corps, like a little corps I was in, and you guys were kids from a little corps that got together, and it showed a lot of people that it wasn't impossible, that kids just like you, just from someone's neighborhood, could get together, actually put your resources together, and make finals.
So, what was your reaction, Jim, when Kevin told you he wanted to try out for the Crossmen?
My reaction when I told him, well, he didn't have a whole lot of choice. They're in Texas now. They're doing really, really well. And I had talked to some families that had been involved with the Crossmen, and they were like, yeah, you got to give him a chance to go down there. The family atmosphere is really, really great. And there was actually guys that I marched with in Garfield whose kids had gone to the Crossmen and said, the people are great. You know, if you're going to trust a 16-year-old kid to a drum corps, he said, the people that are running the Crossmen now are really, really great people.
So, one thing I would say your family kind of also embodies is the fact of the Crossman legacy. Even though Jim didn't march Crossman, neither did Denise. But I mean, both Kevin and Connor marching, and when they started, it became just this family tradition as well. With volunteering, both Jim and Denise volunteered a whole lot and continue to volunteer even now that both the boys have aged out.
Well, it's something that somebody's parents did it for me. You know, it's something that I hope when it's their turn, you know, to give back, that they'd also do.
So, Connor, you mentioned that you had marched 2 seasons without Kevin.
Yes.
A picture that I very commonly see is the two of you hugging after finals in 2014.
Yeah. We wouldn't see each other very often on occasion, and when we did, he was asking for money or I was angry at him or something. So I always at the end of the season made a point to find him and say thank you for coming with me and having a good time and everything.
Yeah, there's Kevin and Connor not only on my side of the family with my mom and myself, but my wife marched, and my brother-in-law, he's still marching.
So Jim, you mentioned that Denise marched in drum corps.
Yep, Denise was in the Valiers.
Okay.
And she had marched with the Valiers with her brother, and she had done high school band, and then she went back to normal life. So when I started classes the next September, of course, all the clothes that I owned had a drum corps' name on it. And Denise saw my corps jacket, and she was like, "Do you know about drum corps?" I was like, "Yes."
A little bit.
And that's how we met in economics class. She asked me about my corps jacket, and she's like, "Yeah, I do drum corps too, you know." And so does my brother, and that's how they ended up.
And the rest is history, as they say.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
Because of a corps jacket.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, what last thoughts do any of the three of you have?
Yeah, they covered all the bases.
I have one with being a member, especially a young kid, like Connor was 15, 16, I was 16 my rookie year. Having a parent that marched is a game changer, especially because there's just times that when you're on tour, you get lost, trying to figure out what to do, and having someone that did it for, especially as long as my dad did, that was a huge advantage that I had, because I would call him before shows, I'd talk to him about what we rehearsed about, what he thinks the next steps are, what we should do in rehearsal and stuff like that.
That and all of the contacts or friends that he had, we had friends all across the country that knew who we were just because he had marched drum corps and his family had marched drum corps and everything. And that little bit of extra support, those cookies that would show up in your seat every day, that little extra treat every now and then was really, really special.
And that's why when we were talking about this concept of legacies and like drum corps as a family tradition, that your family was one of the first ones that came to mind because there isn't that deep rooted historical drum corps legacy in Texas. So of all the years that I marched, the 6 years I marched, anyone who had that background was from out of state, mostly from
The East Coast.
the Northeast, from where drum corps was and still is huge. Whereas it was this new thing in Texas where we're just putting down roots, and your family was already well established and well versed in what drum corps is.
Yeah. And that's one thing that my mom always really tries to do. And I try to preach it to some of the newer members who are like Texas originals, is getting their family involved in creating that root system like you're describing. Because if they may not be a drum corps legacy, but they can start one by getting their whole family involved and starting with a really good foundation and getting that support from the parents is instrumental to some of these kids thriving in the drum corps group.
To be here as the Corps was just getting its feet on the ground in Texas, and to be there and
the big transformational years within Texas.
Those transformation years, and 2011, when it went from a Corps that moved to Texas to a Corps that is from Texas.
Oh yeah, when they had announced us in San Antonio as Texas's very own Corps, the Crossmen.
Yeah, San Antonio's own. Yeah.
That
was the first time.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that regional 2011. That was, I know, talking to Josh Shears, Chris Jarvis, and all that. That was probably the first time that the Corps
felt like we were from
the state of Texas, and not a Corps that moved it. That was the first time that we got actual real recognition. Yeah, and it's getting to a point now with the generations that like Josh and I marched, to where we're all getting to the age now to where we're actually able to go out and volunteer. And the alumni presence here has picked up immensely over the last year or two, just because all the Texas kids that have aged out, we're all starting to get back, and it's continually growing year after year. So it's
good
really
to
nice.
hear.
A lot of great conversations, stories. So want to say thank you for everything that you've done, past and present.
So yeah, thanks guys.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thanks for thinking of us.
Take care.
Right. Take it easy.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It takes a huge effort and lots of different talents to run Crossmen Productions. We are led by full-time staff members supported by a board of directors with a variety of backgrounds, but we need more. We need help from volunteers with expertise in specific topics to provide us periodic guidance. We are seeking your unique skills. Can you help us lead a specific topic or a particular need?
We have Rick Reedy here to make the announcements that I think everybody's been waiting for the Hall of Fame for the class of 2020.
Yep. So Rick, what's the process for getting nominated and then making it into the Crossmen Hall of Fame?
Well, to be nominated, it's very simple. You have to nominate a person that you feel should be in the Hall of Fame. And then you need to get a support letter backing your nomination up. It's that simple. It's usually it goes from, we'll say, December to May timeframe to do the nominating. And then after that, we have about a week and a half to 2 weeks of voting on it, which the Hall of Fame members are the voters of the new class. And then from there, we pick our new inductees.
And there's an online form, I believe, to
There is.
facilitate this.
Yep, there is. If you go to crossmenalumni.org and click on Hall of Fame, you'll see the opportunity to click on a nominating form there.
Okay, and it's probably important to point out to people that the letter that you write should be as full of as many facts and anecdotes as possible. Sentiments fine, but if it's just sentiment and short on facts, it's not going to really get you anywhere in the voting process.
Yeah, the more factual you can be with the reason you feel the individual should be inducted to the Hall of Fame, the better off it is for us, because the letters do go out to all the Hall of Fame members, and a 2-line or 3-line, hey, I think Joe should be inducted to the Hall of Fame because he's a great guy, and he marched in the Corps for 6 years, and was a volunteer for 2 years, and I think you should go into the Hall of Fame. So you'll get those letters, but they need to be a little more factual, and to because you're trying to sway other people's opinion as to why they should be in the Hall of Fame. So the more, the better.
So how many people were voted into the Hall of Fame this year that made it in?
This year we had 8 people on the ballot, and we took 3 people this year.
So without further ado, shall we get down to it? And just to let you know that we're going to show a little clip after each name of when they found out last week. And go ahead, Rick.
All right, our first inductee for the class of 2020 is Denise Eversole. Denise is a 10-year plus volunteer of the Drum Corps. She started volunteer when her sons joined the Drum Corps, and has since, both boys have aged out of the Drum Corps. And Denise still comes to all the winter camps to be the food manager and to do many, many more things. That's our first inductee.
Hey, Denise.
Yeah.
Hey there, Mrs. Eversole.
Hi,
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Yeah. So the reason for our getting together is thanks to the efforts of a few people, you are going into the Hall of Fame.
Good. You guys really?
Yeah. So based off of Connor's nomination and backup letters from Fred Morrison and Donna, they were entered into the mix of the candidates for this year. It took a week's worth of voting. We ended at midnight last night, and we're contacting the individuals now. So I guess we just want to say congratulations and welcome. And we're going to put something together to announce it on the 16th of July. Congratulations, well deserved.
That's crazy. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations!
That's Donna off camera.
That's funny.
And who's second?
Our next inductee is Chris Feist. Chris marched in the Corps in the mid 80s and then came back at the request of Mark Thurston on a weekend back in '88 to help out at a camp that the Corps just happened to be going to a school that he also was running a band clinic at. So Chris said, yeah, sure, I'll come out for the weekend. Well, after that weekend was over, they kind of contacted Chris, because this is towards the end of the spring season and getting ready to go on tour. And they said, hey, Chris, we need somebody to go on tour and be the drum guy, you know, for the summer. So Chris said, sure, you know, I'll juggle some things around. And lo and behold, Chris went on tour and stayed for many years after that to be, you know, part of the drum staff up until the early 90s. That's our second inductee.
Thanks for having that. We would go to Chuck Knowles and
Here he comes.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
turn your video on, Chris.
Oh,
there you
you go.
are. Well, thanks for getting on.
What's up?
Well, there's some friends here gathered. Everyone can reveal themselves.
Yo.
Yo!
What's up, Chris?
What up? Hey. Look at all Rick Reedy.
There you go.
This is not about DCA audio.
No, hey, I recruited these guys for Bucks for next year.
Oh, well, that's cool.
It's our visual staff.
Okay, so the reason that we're all here is that my asking, with these four individuals here, and basically here tonight to tell you that you are being inducted to the Crossmen Hall of Fame class of 2020.
I understand. That's very cool.
How about that?
That's very cool.
Well, I can tell you, Chris, that I know I had a vision for what the percussion ensemble was going to be like for all those years, and none of that happens if you're not there, because you were such a driving force behind making sure that things got done on a daily basis. Your attention to detail was over the top, and just your work ethic that you instilled not only just in the percussion program, but then bled to the rest of the drum corps, definitely helped us get to where we needed to go and got us through some of those years right up to, you know, those mid 90s. So thank you very much for everything that you did.
Nah, thank you, buddy. Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to do that. You know, thanks, guys. This is I'm really honored. Thank you. All right.
All right,
Well,
guys.
thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks. Very humble.
Congrats, Chris.
Very gracious.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
And last but not least.
Last but not least is an individual who probably never thought that he would be in Crossmen Hall of Fame. And his name is S1-E McQuiston. And S1-E's story is goes way back to the Keystone Regiment days and 507 Hornet days, and actually further than that. It goes back to the Holt Hornets, which S1-E was a founding member of the Holt Hornets in Clifton Heights back in 1968. And then the move took us to Norwood. And so S1-E was director of 507 and then became director of Keystone Regiment in the early 70s. During that time, towards the end of the 1973 season, 74 season, the older members of the drum corps started seeing what was going on in DCI. And S1-E listened to those guys talk. They would go to S1-E and say, hey, you know, you are a director from both corps. So he was someone that the older members could go and talk to. S1-E listened. S1-E went to both board of directors of both drum corps and proposed an opportunity to merge both drum corps with the idea that by doing that, both drum corps could become one drum corps and enter into the DCI realm of drum corps, which was what the kids at the time were talking to S1-E about. So without S1-E McQuiston listening to the members of the drum corps, both drum corps, and without him going to the board of directors of both drum corps it's just clearly that there would be no Crossman today. So with that, Sonny was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
So those are three very deserving people, and can't wait to do the Hall of Fame induction next month. And that should be something to look forward to. So
Definitely. Yeah. Rick, why don't you tell us a little bit about that, the plans for the induction ceremony and how it's different from prior years?
Yeah, so this year, because of COVID-19, we're doing everything virtually. We'll be presenting the inductees with their plaques and their medals via probably Zoom. So you'll see the individuals with their plaques, with their medals, and I'm sure that they'll have an opportunity to say a few words after Jack masterfully inducts them into the Hall of Fame. So that's what's different. Usually we do it at Allentown. We did it at the banquet last year. This year we were moving back to the park, but because of the status of the world today, we were going to present it via the internet.
Thank you, Rick, for that announcement. A lot of very deserving class making it into the Crossmen Hall of Fame class of 2020. And we look forward to more information about the inductions.
You're welcome, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to announce who the inductees are.
see you, Rick.
See you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
The Crossmen have all of our instruments for sale. Brass, percussion, electronics, podiums, props, and much more. We can help you or your school with anything you may need. Reach out to us via email, sales@crossmen.org.
Josh, what do we have in the works for next month's show?
Well, Jack, so next month's show is going to feature the Hall of Fame induction ceremony and much, much more.
So don't miss it. Saturday, August 15th at 3 p.m. Central Time, right here on Mobile Cause. See you then.